Hello everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you know whenever I'm posting my next video. So today's video, I wanted to talk about the fact that so many people, I've heard them say, like, that guy was such a waste of time. That girl was such a waste of time. That relationship was such a waste of time. And I want to challenge that idea because for me personally, I think that every single person that comes into our life is an opportunity for us to learn more about ourselves as a person. And I've said this a billion times in my positive talks when it comes to meeting as many diverse people as possible to kind of unlock different parts of myself. And I think that that's the same with relationships. I know that who I was before all of my previous relationships is a very different person than who I am now. And I do have those relationships to thank for that. So I want to dive a little bit more into that subject, and hopefully you all will kind of have a shift in perspective if you were one of those people who kind of thought maybe there was someone in your life that was kind of a waste of your time. So I've been in a few small relationships, but I had a couple very long-term relationships that did kind of shift my storyline a little bit. And there was a lot of times when I kind of looked at kind of the things that I turned down because I was in a relationship, or things that I walked away from because I was in the relationship. And for a while, I kind of was like, wow, I really let that relationship kind of push me off the path that I was walking on in life. And it wasn't until I kind of started looking at the person that I became and the journey that I've been on that I realized that a lot of those steps were so necessary for kind of who I am today. So my first relationship that kind of shifted a lot for me, because I came out of the closet for this person, as well as moved states, changed colleges for him as well. When that relationship first came to an end, I was definitely in the headspace of, wow, I allowed this person to kind of change the whole direction of my life, and look at where I'm at now compared to where I would have been if I had kind of stayed my course before I met this person. For a while, I allowed myself to think that maybe the other path would have been better. But now I've kind of been looking at that, and I realized that I was on a very strict religious Christian course in life. I had a lot of very religious friends. I was a part of so many different religious groups. It was really hard for me to kind of accept the fact that I was gay. I mean, every single time something went wrong in that relationship, I thought that it was God telling me, like, this is not right, stop being gay. It wasn't until I kind of looked back on that relationship and realized that it really pulled me out of all those places that really forced me to not love myself and not accept myself for who I was, and kind of put me in a place where I was surrounded by people who loved me for who I was and celebrated me for being exactly who I was. So I really think that that journey kind of brought me to a college campus where I was surrounded by people who wanted to celebrate and go out and just let me be myself, and they were also able to be themselves. Because I think that that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that when you are yourself, when you put your most authentic self out to the world, you are allowing everyone else around you to do the same thing. And that was kind of my experience when I moved to Morgantown, West Virginia for that relationship. Of course, that was an abusive relationship. It was not great, but I did learn a lot. I learned what I would not allow in my next relationships, and I learned that I was actually a lot stronger of a person than I ever thought I was before, because I kind of grew up with a physically and mentally abusive father. So I noticed that I was accepting that from my life partner as well. And it wasn't until I had a couple friends step in and say, hey, this is not okay, and I finally got fed up with it, and I was strong enough to walk away, and I applaud myself for that. And in that journey, I became a stronger person, and I learned a lot of really important lessons. Ever since then, whenever someone I'm dating and I get in an argument, I'm like, okay, we've got to keep distance between us. I don't want anything to ever get physical, because for me, like, physical, like, fighting is not an option. So I was able to communicate with people, and I learned that also, like when emotions are high, that's not usually the best time to kind of have conversations that might be turned into a fight or an argument. My next relationship, it was a lot longer for me. I also learned a lot because I was very trusting. I went from a very abusive relationship to a relationship that didn't have abuse, at least not in the way that I was used to with the first boyfriend. I went into that relationship fully trusting this person because he showed zero signs of being abusive, zero signs of being controlling, but he had a lot of insecurities that he was dealing with. And in that sense, I was able to play an important role for him because a lot of his insecurities that he was trying to overcome were things that I'd already overcome. It wasn't until I experienced losing my grandfather where I kind of fell into a deep depression and wasn't able to be there for him the way that I was the years before. And in that moment, it kind of went south. He started to try to find love in other places, or maybe sexual desires in other places. For me, I realized in that situation that it's great to be the caregiver. It's great to be that person that constantly gives. But in my time of need, I had selected a life partner that wasn't capable of doing that. I was in a relationship where I was constantly giving and he was constantly receiving, which at the end of the day isn't really wrong for either of us to be a giver or a taker in that situation. But when I needed someone to kind of step up, he wasn't that person. So it helped me realize that, one, I can do stuff on my own. For the longest time, because my granddad was such a rock for me, like he was my support and he was the only person I really had to lean on. And then it also made me realize the importance of friends. You can't throw all your weight onto your relationship. You have to learn how to deal with a lot of it on your own, because at the end of the day, we all have our own baggage that we have to deal with on a regular basis. So throwing it all on a relationship can really push your relationships to its limits. And I learned that my relationship had really tight limits that I went over. And I'm not saying that I am playing the victim or making him the bad guy or vice versa, but I did learn that in those situations, it's important for us to realize that sometimes we have to kind of buckle down and help ourselves out of the hole that we've fallen into. For me, it was depression after my granddad passed away, and then all my grades in college started slipping, which that's never happened for me, so that was really hard. And then it was even hard for me to make it to work because I was just spiraling down this like black hole. And of course, as I was spiraling, my boyfriend didn't want to jump down with me, so he kind of pulled out and ended that relationship. And I would definitely say that I hit a rock bottom at that point in my life because everything seemed to just be like going out of control. And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom and started climbing out that I realized that I am fully capable of helping myself out and that things do get better even in the worst of situations. As that relationship kind of went out the door, I ended up moving to Florida, where I swore off all guys. I was kind of in a point where I didn't really want a relationship. I kind of just wanted to love myself, because one thing that I noticed happened when I kind of fell into my two relationships that were my first two big ones was I kind of threw my friends to the curb and I didn't enjoy being with my friends anymore. It was almost like I had this like perfect relationship with my friends before I started dating guys. And then I got like hooked on dating guys. It was like a drug or a high, because like that intense feeling that you get when you finally like love someone, because it's not like you faking loving a girl in high school to be accepted. Like this was like real physical love that you just like wanted to be with this person. I kind of pushed my friends out of the door so that I could experience that. I realized that I needed to find a healthy balance when it came to that. So I think that there's a lot of lessons that we can learn when it comes to our past relationships. I don't think that you should ever consider them a waste of your time. Try to find the positives. I know that it's not always easy. Relationships don't always end well, but I've also learned that you can't allow them to make you bitter, because the next person that you end up dating or the next person you end up with doesn't deserve any of the bitter feelings that you have towards your exes placed onto them, because they are not responsible for putting those feelings there. Yes, it is great for a significant other to kind of help you heal, but I think that it's also really important for you to realize that you have to heal as well, because if you haven't taken that time to heal, there are triggers and things that your new significant other might do and might touch that you didn't even know existed, and you go off on them. I know that for me personally, like dealing with my dad growing up and some of the things that my sisters and my mom did as well. Some of those were triggers that I never kind of went back and healed. And then when I was in new relationships, whether it was with a significant other or a friend, like some things that they do would trigger like childhood traumas, and I would get angry at them and kind of be putting full force anger or being upset with them for something that maybe their thing that they did was so small, but it was kind of all that built up anger and oppressed feelings that I had for all the things from my past just kind of coming out full force and hitting the person standing in front of me. So it's so important to kind of take that time, heal. Don't beat yourself up. Don't spend so much time asking yourself, like, what did you do wrong or what could you have done different? Because at the end of the day, you are where you are. And I think that if someone loves you, if they are meant to be in your life, then they're going to make sure that they're there. And if they chose to walk out, then they're not that person. I'm not saying delete them, burn all the bridges, because who knows? Maybe they are also on a journey of healing. That's another thing I think a lot of people don't realize, is that sometimes we are so focused on our hurt and pain, and we feel like other people around us are supposed to like help us with that, and they're supposed to kind of change and shift their life in the way that they navigate through it to kind of help us heal and help us feel more comfortable. But we also have to realize that those people might also be dealing with their own traumas. Sometimes we don't even know how to like verbalize the trauma. Sometimes we don't even know that trauma exists until someone hits that trigger. But we have to realize that we're dealing with other human beings that are also struggling with their own baggage and own trauma. So we want to make sure that we have that like grace period and really work on ourselves. I know for me personally, before I have an argument with someone, I'm like, why am I upset? Like, why am I not happy with this person right now? And I kind of break it down so that I understand it better, because when we have that conversation, not an argument, I can explain my position and why I'm upset, what they did, and what my past might be contributing to that feeling. And then it can be a little bit more of a civilized conversation. But at the end of the day, I think that each relationship teaches us something about ourselves that we can kind of use to move forward in life and make a better future for ourselves. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know that I really enjoy hearing from all of you. So make sure that you leave some comments in the comment section. Follow me on all my other social medias. I'll leave that link down below as well. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.